Welcome to the new podcast, In the Garden with Susan. I'm your host, Susan Ladner. I will aim to bring you top quality information on how to save open pollinated seeds, grow a garden, and preserve what you grow. Every Wednesday, I'll be sharing practical tips and techniques to help you on your journey to food security. Join me as I preserve the abundance of produce that my garden provides. Learn new ways of putting food away for the winter and some old ways that are from another century. You can find this podcast on Shopify and at my website. Come on, let's go wander down to the garden and awaken the dreams, history, and love that is held inside every seed. Hello, and welcome to another edition of In the Garden with Susan. And I shouldn't have taken a big sip of tea right before that started. Okay. Anyway, this is take number 3. I did one the other day, and I lost power on my laptop. It was going down, and I plugged it in, and it didn't get plugged in properly. And then I did a full podcast this morning, and when I flipped back over to Riverside, it showed that I wasn't recording anymore, and it looked like I lost power. So as I'm doing the podcast, I'm going to keep my eye on the little Wi-Fi image to make sure that we don't go down. So I'm really hoping we can get through this, because this is actually a very interesting podcast today. It's about Fire Cider, and I didn't really think there would be too much to talk about on this. I thought I was going to have to combine it with something else because it's just Fire Cider. However, the more that I started researching it and looking into things and searching for what you can do with the Fire Cider, it opened up a whole new world. Like, I am amazed I have not been using Fire Cider for anything except when I get sick or if other people get sick. I know my neighbor last winter, he had something, and I don't even think anyone knew what it was, but my answer was Fire Cider. So I brought him down some Fire Cider. And if I start ever sort of feeling congested or any sort of sickness, it's Fire Cider, and that kills it. And I really discovered this, I would say, in like 2020. So the fact my friend hadn't heard about it, it doesn't surprise me, because the only reason I discovered it was that it was 75% off in a store that I go to, and who doesn't love 75% off? And it was this Fire Cider, and there were a couple varieties, and I think I bought one of each. I still wasn't too sure what it was, but it was 75% off, and it was super expensive too. And then I started trying it, and it was powerful. Like, it's spicy. It blows your head off. Like, you need to have a chaser there. And so what I found is that when I started feeling sick, I would drink that, and it was killing it. Like, I just would feel better, like, really quickly. And I gifted a bottle to one of my coworkers, and she was having the same results. So then as I started looking at it, because it is really expensive to buy. Well, I think it is. And I found that you could make it yourself. And I thought, well, I'm all about saving money and doing things myself. Homemade everything, I love that. And so I started to make my own. And now I think I've made one every fall since I'd say I started in 2021. So it hasn't been that many years, but I do make it, and now I've moved on to making it with my own homemade apple cider vinegar, which saves even more money. And right now I just had a case of apples. And today I had the garden huckleberries come out of the garden, and my friend told me she had made some garden huckleberry preserves with it last year, and she added apples. And I thought, yeah, that's what I'm going to do, it's kind of seedy, but just for a little filler to make it more. And so the leftover apple peelings and cores, I started 2 more jars of apple cider vinegar because I really want to get more into taking fire cider as a tonic. And this is what we're going to talk about today. So as I was doing research and looking at everything it can do, I realized that there's so much more that fire cider can be used for, instead of just like, oh, I'm sick right now, I'm going to take some. So fire cider, it's a traditional herbal remedy with roots in American folk medicine. And it's made from a blend of apple cider vinegar and various herbs and spices like garlic, ginger, horseradish, cayenne pepper, and honey. And its history can be traced back to the herbalist community, where it was popularized by renowned herbalist Rosemary Gladstar in the late 1970s. And Gladstar created fire cider as a remedy to boost the immune system, especially during cold and flu season. And she aimed to offer a warming, spicy, and stimulating tonic that would combine the immune supportive properties of the ingredients with the health benefits of apple cider vinegar. And the name fire cider reflects its fiery taste, packed with stimulating and antimicrobial herbs. Over time, fire cider became a household name within the herbal medicine community, with many people crafting their own versions based on personal preference or the availability of local ingredients. It became well known for supporting the frog. This frog keeps coming into my place. I have taken him out of here over 20 times, and I've walked him way down the road. I've taken him so far. I've thrown him in the pond, walked way down to, and he keeps coming back in. So please excuse it if you can hear the ribbit in the back. This guy, he keeps coming back. I can't get rid of him. So maybe I should give him a kiss, and I just don't know. Is that why he keeps coming back? But where was I? So over time, fire cider became a household name, and within the herbal medicine community, with many people crafting their own versions. Sorry, we're going over that again. And it became well known for helping to support immunity, improve digestion, and clear sinuses. And in recent years, fire cider's name sparked a legal battle when a company tried to trademark the term, claiming ownership. And this led to a grassroots movement within the herbal community fighting to keep fire cider a free term available to everyone. And in 2019, after a lengthy legal dispute, the courts ruled that fire cider is a genetic term, allowing everyone to use it freely. And I just lost my place. I'm so sorry with all the bloopers, you guys. And so today, fire cider continues to be a popular home remedy, valued for its warming, immune-boosting properties, and many people still make it from scratch, while others buy ready-made versions from health food stores. And so basically, fire cider is a traditional herbal tonic made by infusing apple cider vinegar with a combination of potent immune-boosting ingredients. The basic recipe includes ingredients like garlic, ginger, horseradish, onions, hot peppers such as cayenne or jalapenos, and sometimes turmeric and honey to balance the heat and tang. And really, I think you really need the honey. Well, I need the honey. When I bought it the first time, there was one variety that did not have honey. and it was hard. It was really hard to drink that. So I like it with the honey. It seems to balance the heat. And these ingredients are left to steep in vinegar for a few weeks, creating a spicy, warming tonic. And the basics of fire cider are apple cider vinegar, and it's the base liquid known for its antimicrobial and digestive health. And I'm just having some sort of a problem with my scrolling. I don't know why this is happening. It's taking me really far down fast. Okay, I hope I have a handle on this. I'm sorry about all my bloopers, you guys. I don't know how to edit. Okay, so the core ingredients are apple cider vinegar, and this is known for its antimicrobial and digestive health benefits. Garlic, which is antibacterial and antiviral, and this helps support the immune system. Ginger is anti-inflammatory and promotes healthy digestion. Horseradish clears sinuses and supports respiratory health. Onions are rich in antioxidants and are known for their immune-boosting properties. Hot peppers stimulate circulation and provide heat, which is great for clearing sinuses. And honey is often added to balance the acidity and spice, and also has soothing and antibacterial properties. And so the preparation is that the ingredients are chopped. Some people say grate some of the things, and place it in a jar, then cover with apple cider vinegar, and the jar is left to infuse for about 4 to 6 weeks, shaking occasionally. And after the infusion, the mixture is strained and honey can be added for sweetness. And so what does fire cider do? Basically, it is an immune support. The combination of antimicrobial ingredients like garlic and vinegar helps fight off infections and supports the body's immune response. It is a digestive aid. The ingredients like the ginger and apple cider vinegar stimulate digestion, aiding in the production of digestive enzymes and improving gut health. Respiratory health, the spicy nature of fire cider with horseradish and peppers helps clear sinuses and ease congestion, making it a popular remedy for colds and sinus infections. It is a circulation booster. The warming ingredients provide healthy circulation, which is helpful in keeping the body warm and energized, especially in colder months. And it is an anti-inflammatory. Ginger, garlic, and turmeric, if added, have anti-inflammatory properties, which may help reduce the inflammation in the body. And fire cider can be taken daily as a preventative tonic, usually a tablespoon or so, or used more frequently when someone feels a cold or infection coming on. Some people will mix it with water, they'll add it to salad dressings, or drink it straight for a quick immune boost. And that's all I've ever done with it, is when I'm feeling sick, I will have a shot of it. Sometimes I've chugged it out of the bottle, if it's, just my bottle, or I put it in a little glass jar. So I've never really experienced all these amazing recipes that we're going to start talking about. And so we had just looking a little bit at the history, is that really it has become a symbol of herbal folk medicine. And they did have the trademark controversy started in 2014. So it took 5 years for that legal battle to come through, and it was decided in 2019. The herbalists won the legal battle, and the trademark was removed, affirming that fire cider is a part of the public domain and cannot be owned by one entity. And the benefits beyond immunity, which we sort of talked about already, It has its immune boosting properties. It's good for digestion, circulation, and anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties. And the variations, there are tons of variations. The you can add in the turmeric, which I usually always add that in, but what I've discovered recently here is that you can add in echinacea. I've never done that. And I have a plant that's hanging and it's drying right now, so I'm going to make another batch. Well, after doing all this research on fire cider, I was like, I need to make more. I have made one already, and I'm going to make another one that's completely different, because really every year I've sort of always made the same. So I'm going to try something different. And one of the ingredients I'm going to put in my next batch, maybe I might even make 2 batches, because there are some really amazing things to put in. But you can add echinacea, and that is for its immune boosting properties. You can also use different vinegars. Apple cider vinegar is the most common, but variations using balsamic or red wine vinegar are sometimes seen. And that doesn't really sound appealing to me, because all I've ever done is take drinks of it. But as I've discovered, maybe if you're making fire cider as a culinary ingredient to be doing some of these recipes, I can really understand why people might be using the balsamic or the red wine vinegar. And fire cider is typically made by infusing herbs and roots in vinegar, and some herbalists ferment the mixture for additional probiotic benefits. And the naturally occurring bacteria in the vinegar can help promote gut health and aid digestion. Oh, let's move this down. Goodness. I'm sorry, this is a little bit of a gong show. Okay, now I wanted to know sort of how long can it last, and how should it be stored. I've always just left mine in the medicine cupboard. I still have some of my jar from last year, because I do only take it when I'm sick. So I think I have quite a bit left from last year. Although I'm going to finish it off, I will never throw it away. I've never found that it goes bad, but we're going to sort of talk about what it would look like if it does. Fire cider can last a long time thanks to its primary ingredient, vinegar, please excuse my dog, which acts as a natural preservative. And an unopened fire cider, if stored in a cool, dark place, an unopened bottle of fire cider can last for up to a year or more. And once opened, it says it can last for 6 to 12 months or even longer, depending on how it is stored. So you can store it in the refrigerator. It doesn't have to be refrigerated due to the preserving nature of vinegar, but it can be stored in the fridge if you like to drink it cold, and it could keep it tasting fresher longer. And so if you choose not to refrigerate it, you can store your fire cider in a cool, dark cupboard or pantry. Exposure to light, heat, and air can affect the potency and flavor of the fire cider over time. And as everybody knows, you want to keep your fire cider in a tightly sealed, airtight container. Now, the signs that it's gone bad, which I've never seen, is that there will be a significant change in smell or taste, although fire cider is naturally strong and pungent. But if your nose feels, if you feel it's off, then it's off. And if you see visible mold or unusual cloudiness, and if there's strange textures or fizzing, some natural fermentation can happen, but active bubbling may indicate spoilage. And then you're going to want to strain it. it talks about here that if you strain out the solids after steeping, the liquid tends to last longer, and you're going to have to do that anyway. You're going to want to strain it, because otherwise the ingredients that are not under the liquid as you use it, they will mold. So that's just part of the recipe, straining it. Now, some of the recipes I found, we'll first look at the common fire cider recipe. And I'm not going to read out the whole recipe, but I will talk about the first common one. It's basically half a cup of grated horseradish root, half a cup of grated ginger root, 1 medium onion chopped, 10 cloves of garlic minced. I never do that. I just cut my stuff up, and the garlic cloves maybe get cut in 4s. I don't mince them. 1 to 2 jalapeno peppers chopped, or 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I put in way more than that. Again, this is just a guideline. I just take my jar and I put what I sort of feel like putting in there. I don't ever follow any recipe and measure. You can take a 1/4 cup of turmeric root, or 1 tablespoon of ground turmeric, a 1/4 cup of lemon zest, or 1 whole lemon chopped, 2 tablespoons of raw honey, and 2 to 3 cups of raw apple cider vinegar. And so you're going to want to place all the chopped and grated ingredients in a large glass jar. I usually start with it sterilized, and then pour the apple cider vinegar over the ingredients to cover them completely. Cover the jar with a plastic lid or a parchment paper or wax paper layer under a metal lid to avoid corrosion from the vinegar, and shake well. And then you'll store it in a cool, dark place for 4 to 6 weeks, shaking it every few days. Strain out the solids using a fine mesh strainer or cheesecloth. Add the honey to the strained liquid and stir well. And then you can store the finished cider in the fridge or in a cool, dark place, and use 1 to 2 tablespoons as needed. And some of the unique variations I found, there was a citrus spice fire cider, and that one has oranges and grapefruit and cinnamon and cloves in it. That's very interesting. There's also a turmeric golden fire cider, and that one has black peppercorns. I always add black peppercorns to mine. Ground cayenne and the turmeric root. That's sort of the same as the common. There is I went past the title, an herbal fire cider with rosemary and thyme, and that one has nettle, rosemary, and thyme added to it, along with the other common ones. And then there's a berry fire cider, and this one has elderberries in it, or cranberries, and hibiscus petals. That one sounds interesting. And then I found a smoky chipotle fire cider, and that has chipotle peppers and grated turmeric root. 1 second. Koala, come in, please. She's being very quiet. Koala. I'm worried the neighborhood dog is here. 1 moment, please. Come inside, please. You're making me nervous. There you go. Lay down. Sorry, everyone. The neighbor, my dog's in heat. Oh, lay down. And the neighborhood dog has been coming down. I think everything's okay, but I'm just a little worried. I have to keep an eye on her because this dog, it's just, I can't believe how hard it is to, how persistent these male dogs are. Anyway, we have the smoky chipotle, and so now we've made our fire cider, and we're going to strain it, and there's leftovers. And every year I make it, I always am amazed at how many ingredients are left over when it's strained. Like, they still look good, they smell good, and it seems like such a waste to be tossing that in the compost. So I usually dehydrate it. Last year I had it drying by the stove, and it sort of got forgotten about. And then I just end up throwing it in the compost because I don't know what to do with it. And I've just discovered there are so many things to do with the leftovers after straining. You can make fire cider pickles, and you can add some fresh vegetables like cucumber slices, carrots, or radishes to the leftover mix. Pour a little fresh apple cider vinegar over them to ensure they're fully submerged, and let the vegetables sit in the fridge for a week and enjoy them as a snack or condiment. You can make a chutney or relish, and you blend the solids with a bit of fresh apple or pear. Add some extra vinegar and cook it down with sugar and spices such as mustard seeds or cumin, and this will create a tangy, spicy chutney to serve with meals. You can make soup or broth add-in and add the strained ingredients to your stock pot, or if you're making soup. And I think you wouldn't really want to put it in your soup. I think it would be more if you're making broth or stock, just because you have these big chunks of stuff. But that will add some extra flavor to your stock. And then you could make a fire cider hot sauce. And I think I'm going to be doing this with mine by blending the strained mixture with some fresh vinegar and extra peppers, although I don't think I need any extra peppers. I put so many in mine. And some salt and spices to taste. Strain again to get a smoother texture and store that in a bottle. And that hot sauce will have a tangy, fiery flavor with the bonus of medicinal herbs. This is what I usually do with mine is the compost booster. If you have a garden, these solids can be a great addition to your compost pile. You can also have a marinade base by using the leftover fire cider solids as part of a marinade for vegetables, meat, tofu, or even jackfruit. And you just mix the solids with some oil, fresh herbs, and additional seasoning like soy sauce or tamari, and let your ingredients marinate for a few hours before cooking or grilling. You can also make tea or infusions, and so you'll spread out the strained solids on a dehydrator tray and bake them on a low temperature around 150 until fully dry. And once dry, you'll want to grind them up and store them in an airtight container, and use a teaspoon of the dried mixture in hot water for a flavorful immune-boosting tea. You can also make salad dressing by taking the leftover solids, adding a bit more vinegar, olive oil, and a touch of mustard or herbs, and blend to a smooth consistency. And that will make a spicy, tangy dressing for salads or roasted vegetables. And then you can also do a fire cider fermented paste, which will create a probiotic-rich paste by mixing the leftovers with a bit of salt, about 2% of the total volume, and then blending them up and packing them tightly into a jar and letting them ferment for a week or two. And you'll end up with a tangy, fiery paste that can be used as a condiment or spread. That sounds really amazing. So now what I'm really interested in is dehydrating the leftovers and grinding them up and then having a jar of them. So I wanted to look at what what sort of recipes would I be able to add this powder to? And I found you can use them as a seasoning for roasted vegetables. The dehydrated fire cider powder makes an excellent seasoning for roasted vegetables. And just toss your veggies with olive oil and sprinkle the fire cider powder over them before roasting. You can also use it as a spice rub for your tofu or your meat. And you just mix the powder with other spices like smoked paprika or cumin or thyme and rub it onto your tofu or meat. Let it sit a while and then bake or grill it. You can use it as a popcorn seasoning. And this one's interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about that one, but I'm pretty sure some people might enjoy this. You could just sprinkle the fire cider powder over freshly popped popcorn along with a little salt, maybe some nutritional yeast, and you have a tangy, savory snack. You can also sprinkle the fire cider powder over salads for an extra layer of flavor. And then there is a soup or stew flavor booster. And so you just add a teaspoon or two of the powder into hearty soups like lentil, bean, or vegetable stew, and it will add a warming, spicy kick and boost the immune supportive properties of the dish. You can also make a spicy vinegar salt by mixing equal parts of fire cider powder and salt, and then use it to season fries, baked potato wedges, or grilled corn on the cob. That's amazing. I'd like to try that. And then there is your herbal tea blend. You can incorporate the powder into homemade herbal teas. You can also use the fire cider spice mix for tacos or fajitas. You can sprinkle it on avocado toast. I never thought of that. I'd love that. You can also make fire cider spice infused oil by adding some of the fire cider powder to olive oil and letting it steep for a few days. And then you can use this as a base for dressings or drizzle it over grilled vegetables, pizza, or pasta dishes. You can add it to stir fries. You can season cream cheese with it. You can make fire cider spiced crackers by adding a teaspoon or two of the fire cider powder into the dough when making homemade crackers. You can also sprinkle it over your grain bowls. And you can make fire cider infused nut mix by tossing almonds, cashews, or mixed nuts with olive oil and the fire cider powder. Roast the nuts in the oven for a few minutes until crispy, and this creates a spicy, tangy snack. So that opens up a whole world of what to do. Like that's almost just as exciting as the fire cider, all those recipes. And now I wanted to look at what sort of things can be made with the fire cider itself. And the first thing that I found was a fire cider salad dressing. And it's basically 2 tablespoons of fire cider, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, 1 teaspoon of maple syrup, optional, and salt and pepper. You can whip that all up for a nice dressing. You can make a fire cider marinade that you can use on your meats, vegetables, or tofu. You can make fire cider pickled vegetables. And this uses a lot of fire cider. It takes 1 cup of fire cider and 1 cup of water, along with some salt and sugar and your sliced vegetables. And then you just put them in the refrigerator for 24 hours before enjoying them. And I'm sure that would be great if you kept replacing. You could just keep replacing your vegetables in the jar. You can also make a fire cider hot toddy. You can do a fire cider vinaigrette for roasted vegetables. And fire cider guacamole. This sounds delicious. You take your avocados and add 1 tablespoon of fire cider, 1 tablespoon of lime juice. I use lemons usually, 1 garlic clove, and salt and pepper to taste. You can also do fire cider hummus. That's interesting. And fire cider barbecue sauce, fire cider stir fry sauce, a fire cider Bloody Mary, fire cider power shot. That's how I've always used my fire cider. For a quick immune boost, take fire cider as a shot. And really it's 1 to 2 tablespoons of fire cider, with the option of 1 teaspoon of honey or maple syrup for sweetness. And I already have my honey mixed in there. And you can take this straight or mix it with a bit of water or juice. And I like to have my juice or water as a chaser after, because sometimes it's really hot. It gets you. And especially if you're feeling sick and you wake up and you're still feeling sick and you have it first thing in the morning, it's good to have something to take. And now this recipe sounds really good. It's fire cider pasta sauce. And then there's also fire cider drizzle on grain bowls. Fire cider apple cider. Fire cider spiced apple cider. That's an interesting one. I mean, I'm sure that would be good. I sort of like my apple cider sweet. I don't know how I would feel about that spiciness in there, but I mean, how do I know unless I try it? And then there's a fire cider glaze for roasted squash. And I'm going to be trying this one for sure because I have so much. There's squash everywhere. Like I have so many squash. It's really amazing. But you take 2 tablespoons of fire cider, 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and salt and pepper to taste. And you roast the squash as usual. And then drizzle the fire cider glaze over them halfway through roasting for extra flavor. So there we go. That is all the recipes that I have found. I cut this down. Actually, I'm glad I went through it quite fast. I think my other podcasts, a good thing they did probably get cut off because they were a lot longer than this because I went through everything. So I hope everyone's motivated. There is still time to make fire cider. If you go to your farmer's market, you can, or out to your garden. Maybe you still have hot peppers left, and grab some ginger, and you maybe have garlic from your garden, and grab some lemons. I always have that, and horseradish, if you grow horseradish. Not every year I don't have horseradish in because I don't usually have it. And then just you can grab some herbs out of the garden. This year I put in some fresh oregano, and for the first time ever I put peppermint in there, and there's also pepper and thyme. I don't know how this is going to turn out with the peppermint in there, but I just really wanted to add it in there. And so my next batches will be completely different. I won't be putting peppermint in the other ones. And also onion. I almost always forget the onion, but I do get it in there last. So I hope people are motivated to do some different things with their fire cider, and they'll be using the fire cider leftovers for different recipes. And next week, I think we're still going to talk about some herbs. I don't know how the garden's going to be doing for much longer because I believe we're going under 0 tonight. It's going to be our first night of -1. So we'll see what's still surviving out there. But I wish you all a great week, and thank you for listening, and I will see you in the garden.